Good afternoon. I welcome you to the webinar on Unlocking Efficiency and Compliance for Government Organizations, Newgen's Correspondence and Records Management. We are grateful and privileged to have leaders from the government domain who will talk about key considerations while selecting the right system for correspondence management and electronic document and records management system. Through this webinar, you will get answers to questions such as how a robust modern records management solution can help you manage content from creation to disposition while adhering to local government regulatory mandates. And questions like how can a low-code based smart correspondence management solution offer scalability and flexibility to meet an organization's requirements. During the webinar, you may put your questions in the questions tab of the GoToWebinar interface for the speakers to take up at the end. Without further ado, let me introduce you to the speakers. We are joined by Mohammed Syed, who is a digital governance and public sector consulting leader in the Middle East and Africa region at EY. He is a thought leader in digital government, citizen centricity, and customer experience. And he's also an advisor to senior leaders in the government and public sectors. We're also joined by Arpan Bansal, Head of Government and GSI Initiatives at Newgen, Australia. He is responsible for high-end consulting, product roadmaps, and solution delivery. His expertise includes consulting large public sector enterprises on digital transformation. Welcome, gentlemen. With this, I hand the floor to Mohammed. Over to you, Mohammed.
Thank you, Satya, much appreciated. Just want to double check that you can see my slides.
We'll see it in a second. Yes, we can. Go ahead, please.
Great, thank you. So firstly, I want to say a big thank you for everyone who has joined us today, and also a thank you to Newgen for giving me this opportunity, inviting me to come and share some of my thoughts. Now, of course, the webinar is about unlocking efficiency and compliance in government organizations. As Arpan will be speaking very specifically about what can be done in this space, I thought it would be much better for me to take a big picture view of how all of this sits within the context of digital transformation across governments, so that there's no duplications and overlaps between what we're going to talk about. I'm sure there will be some further enhancement of what I'm talking in Arpan's talk, but hopefully we will not overlap with each other. So what does this basically mean from a context perspective? Why is it so important? Let's start with that journey. So if you think about how our world has changed today, we've gone from doing things in silos, going physically to places to watch a movie. Yes, we do that still today, but in a lot of cases, most of that we used to do in the physical world or we were doing in silos is being collided or into our device, onto the web. So the web itself is becoming the playground for us. Now, why is this important in the context of when we talk about efficiencies and compliance? It is because citizens who are getting used to living their life in a particular way, which is the digital way, are the same people who actually turn up to work in governments and are the same people who are interacting with governments. So therefore, the expectations, the needs of these citizens are similar to how they are in their private day-to-day lives. They want government to run efficiently. They want to be able to do things in their day-to-day job within the government organizations in a way how they do it in their private and personal lives. So they want simplicity. They want information to be given to them at the time they need it in a way that makes it easier for them to consume the data, rather than it being quite cumbersome and being paper-based, etc. The second thing which is important for us to talk about is the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this, for me, has been a pivotal point and a defining point for us, especially when it comes to governments. What COVID-19 has done, of course, it's speeded up the need for digital transformation across governments, but more importantly, it is actually put a spotlight on all those areas of inefficiencies that exist within government. We learned very quickly how inefficient we are as governments, but at the same time we were able to show that how governments can be resilient and move so quickly towards sorry, I just had a bit of a flash of the wrong screen over there. So yeah, it's also shown to us that how fast we have been able to react to the situation of today, because we were being able to be resilient and we leverage technology for us. So for me, this pivotal point requires us to embrace the potential that we see from our organizations. If I look at the UN index of e-government, that shows me that basically we are already moving the right direction. Many governments have moved their ranking in the e-government development index. We are seeing many of the members in the UN improving the way they provide to their citizens and how they operate as a government. But at the same time, what is quite apparent is that most governments have taken a fragmented approach. Whether it's the access part, the front end of government, or whether it is the actual service or activation part of government, the partial fulfillment exists against agencies. Each agency has been looking at things from a very siloed perspective. What does that mean for efficiencies and effectiveness across governments? It means that we have not truly embraced the opportunity that exists from the technology. Now, this has happened because the mindset has been not one of, let's look at solving a problem and reimagining how we can actually do what we're doing already, but it's been, we have technology, let's just use technology. So we've used technology as a hammer to basically then find a nail to actually nail, rather than saying, let's think of technology as an enabler and see what problem are we trying to solve for, and how can we use this technology and the emerging technologies that exist for our benefits. When I look at this from a stepping back perspective, for me, this means that governments need to take a little bit of a step back. They need to reimagine or rethink really why we are doing what we do today. Are these things that we are doing today even needed, or they're redundant? If they are still needed, is there a better way of doing these, or should someone else do them? And most importantly, what are we not doing today that should be done? And this means that when we think about the core part of the government, which is their operations inside government, where most of the resources exist and the processes exist, that we need to really ask these fundamental questions and think of how we can transform using the benefits that exist out there with emerging technologies and solutions that will be able to drive these efficiencies and make government more effective and transparent. Now, this for me requires taking a truly holistic approach at a country level if we want to unlock the true potential of digital technologies. Whether it's looking at it from the lens of the different layers of government, the legislative branch, the executive branch, the judicial branch, or whether it is taking a approach from an interactions perspective, seeing all of those interactions that government has, whether it's between themselves, so government to government, or it is government to businesses, or government to its citizens or customers, users, or you can look at it from the lens of government to its employees. Each one of these areas has a number of different transactions and interactions that are happening. Each one needs to be thought of from this holistic perspective of how can we truly unlock the potential and make these transactions work better for us, become more efficient, more effective. And the third lens is when I zoom into an organization of its own. You can think of an organization as the leadership part, the direction setting, the governance, the performance management. How can we use the technologies that we have at our disposal today to really transform the way we lead organizations? The front end of government, the channels, the communications, the services. How can we leverage emerging technologies and the power of today's digital age to really transform the way we deliver services? And the production part, which is the core services part, the business models, the part of that business which actually is the engine of delivering the services, and the communication that happens between the different functions within the organization to enable for a particular service to be delivered. And finally, the organizational enablement part, the parts of the organization that actually help run the overall organization, whether it's your HR, your procurement, your finance, your IT, those processes that actually help to drive the organization forward and make it work. If we look at all of these in a holistic way, we will then truly look at a transformation of a complete country. It also requires us to think from a sectorial perspective, whether it's healthcare, education, whether it's mobility. All of these need to be thought of from this perspective if we truly want to unlock the potential of technologies that exist today in the digital age and drive the efficiencies and effectiveness that we want to drive. If we think about some of the technologies which today are there for us to take benefit from, whether blockchain, IoT, it's your RPA, it's your AI, and particularly generative AI, which is truly transforming the way we work, live, and play. It is enabling us all in government or working for government to actually provide better services. And then let's not forget about what this means from a technology perspective. It actually means us shifting as governments from this siloed and vertical approach towards technology and looking at it as a service towards a government as a whole. So moving towards the horizontal way of delivering services and letting government agencies focus more on their core mandate, which they are there to deliver. All of this is about us changing our mindset, going from a technology first led approach, which happens in most cases, to actually an experience or a purpose first led approach, where we really put the need at the center of solving the problem. We fall in love with the problem, not the solution. We look at how to unlock all of these technologies for the benefit of running an efficient and effective government. With that, I will pause and thank you for listening and hand over to Arpan to talk specifically about how we can really unlock the potential of efficiencies across an organization.
Thank you so much for your insights. Yeah. And I request Arpan to please take the session ahead with his thoughts on the topic.
Sure. So thank you so much, Mr. Mohammed. I must say that I fully agree with you on these thoughts. And with that context in the background, let me talk about a few specific things. Just let me know if my screen is visible. Is it?
Yes, it's visible, Arpan.
Sure. So as I was saying that, with that context in the background, let me just talk about the topic of the discussion from my side today, which is about how the correspondence management and record management offering from Newgen can bring about the transformation. I'll keep it very focused for government agencies which are administrative in nature. So when I say this, I mean that, the agency which is not directly responsible for delivering any business and citizen-centric services. Though, by the way, we have a very comprehensive offering for citizen-centric and business-centric services also. But for today's topic, I'll keep it focused on an agency like a ministry, which is where the policies are formed, which is where the decisions are made. And when we talk about the digital transformation, we kind of tend to think it in terms of three core drivers. One, experience, and when I say experience, I mean experience in a broader way, the experience of external stakeholders as well as experience of employee. And when it comes to a ministry, the users of any IT systems are, very high profile users. They are head of departments, they are ministers themselves, and they are also chairman of reputed agencies. So their experience is significantly important when it comes to adoption of system, when it comes to the success of any IT initiative in this context. So, and then the multi-channel means that different ways in which the external agencies can communicate with a ministry. It can be through physical mail, it can be through email, it can be through fax, it can be through a portal, it can even be through a mobile app. And in place here refer to, let me also pick up a pointer so that I can guide to the specific point that I'm highlighting. In place here refers to the ecosystem applications, for example, in Outlook or SharePoint or OneDrive or similar application where users are very comfortable in working with. And can we make all these complicated functionalities made available to the users from within their application? And as Mohammed was highlighting, especially after the COVID, the remote working has become a significantly important topic for any organization. And we are very sure that whatever IT systems are now implemented for any organization must have an option for remote working. So two things here when it comes to anytime, anywhere working. One is to be able to work from any location, and also in a more traditional way that when an officer or a minister is on travel, can he attend to his work? Can he use the mobile app or tab or any other internet browser, for example, and continue doing work even on the go? Needless to say that all this is important to cut across the entire journey of the user throughout the application. So first important block is customer experience. Second important block is about operational excellence, which is where my fellow speaker was talking about efficiency. He was referring to the processes within the organization, which is kind of backbone for any organization. And few things are very, very important when it comes to achieving operational excellence. One is about moving from paper-driven processes to less paper or paperless processes. And I'm using paperless as a term because many of government agencies kind of they resonate with this term, and I'm referring to paper in more generic term here, to any document, whether it is a Microsoft Word document or an email which has come from external agency or a fax document. And when it comes to efficiency and operational excellence, we have seen that paper and the content and the document is one of the most important hurdle to overcome. The second important piece is that now in a digital era, in any organization, you see that they are already using a lot of enterprise applications like ERP, CRM, HR systems, and for doing the work in entirety, a user has to go to multiple applications. So can we bring a layer on top of all these sub applications which can kind of orchestrate all the information and present information in a more uniform way to the user so that his productivity goes up? That's the connected government for us in the context of operational excellence. The third point here is monitoring dashboards, which basically refers to the ability to be able to monitor all the processes of an organization in real time. So can my different stakeholders have different dashboards where they can in real time monitor the performance of their processes and hence do the real time intervention and improve, which will lead to continuous improvement, which is again a very important aspect of operational excellence. The fourth last point here, but of a very significant importance, is about the security and regulatory compliances, which means that uh, so nothing can go forward in terms of IT initiative in a government agency if if it leads to non-compliance. So this is how important it is. And the third driver is innovation, which is one of the most difficult things to do for a government agencies. But with the help of all modern technologies, we can empower a lot of new decision makers in the government agencies who are willing to do things differently. And a few examples from our recent experiences are like, I'll take up a case study where they have set up an interagency interdepartment communication, which is now happening in an electronic way. Some of our customers are leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning to automate their mundane processes. And the entire platform that I'll speak about is a low code, which is one of the very fundamental building block of innovative technology platform, and which becomes very, very useful when government tend to blend IT with their domain or business users, try to create a fusion team and try to come up with solutions which are more innovative in nature. And what do we get from this is we get a better experience which lead to citizen and employee satisfaction, a lot of enhanced collaboration, inclusive governance, superior efficiency, continuous improvement, better compliance, competitive advantage in general. I mean, the government will never go for competitive advantage, but here it means that they can do better than what they were doing earlier. It will also make them agile, and it will help them to use their workforce in a much more innovative and better way. So with this context in the background, this is a bird's eye view of our correspondence management and record management offering. And it kind of covers the entire life cycle of the content, right from capture to classify to process, manage, and then finally publishing and delivering the content to respective user and respective application. Correspondence word may mean different things in different contexts. So I would just like to explain it a bit before I get a bit deeper in the solution. So correspondence here, we will take two examples, one inbound correspondence and one outbound correspondence. So don't go by the word correspondence and get confused that it is a simple system of managing emails and mails. No, any important communication for ministry which comes from peer ministry or from another important agency comes through variety of means, and they call it correspondence, and it is an inbound correspondence. Any important piece of decision, when it gets it has to go through approval, and before the approval a draft is created using the several of templates which are there in the system. So using one of those templates, create a draft, send it to review and approval, use a digital signature, approve it. So the second example is what we call outbound correspondence, because once it is approved, it can be published and send out as a memo, as a letter, as an order, or something like this. So this is what correspondence means in this context. And the first block represents all multi-channel that we were speaking in the earlier slide. It can be through a physical paper where it can be scanned and put in the system. It can come as an email or as an attachment in the email. It can come from an IT system as an XML or PDF. It can even be pulled in from the social media handle of the agency. It can come in from the portal of the agency. It can also come in from the mobile app of the agency. And nowadays, after COVID, even the video contents has become very, very important. Some of the agencies are recording all the conversation with the vendor, all the tender conversation, tender briefing meetings, everything they are recording. They want these recordings to be there in the system for compliance and long-term retention perspective. So anything like this. And then it goes through a very sophisticated machine learning, artificial intelligence based auto classification system, which helps doing one, identifying the type of the content, two, identifying the context of the content, and three, then doing things like metadata enrichment, tagging it automatically, doing the reduction of personal information, making it easy for the next participant in the workflow to identify what document it is, what kind of classification should it go to, what should be the security tagging to be done on this type of document. And post this is where the operational excellence comes from. So this first two pieces were more for experience. This is where the operational excellence comes from. And whatever comes in then can go through a comprehensive but configurable workflow framework, multi-level approval, using digital signature in place of physical signature for approving a document, and then converting that into a PDF and publishing it. So this is for inbound correspondence. For outbound correspondence, a comprehensive set of templates can be used. Once the template is converted into a document, then it can again go to the same set of workflow for approval and for publishing. And as I was speaking in the earlier slide, all the record management and content management functions are available in place. And again, I will emphasize, when I say in place, it means that a user using Outlook, say for example, to attend to email, can select an email and make it a record from there without leaving the Outlook interface. A user who is using SharePoint as a portal can mark an invoice as a record, and invoice will come in the system for long-term retention and governance. So this is the piece where process and manage happens. After that, it can, through the means of integration, it can be delivered to multiple applications like SAP, like Salesforce, any other application that the ministry is using, or it can go to long-term retention in the record management system, which is where the disposition and retention policies are configured. And one of the very important things that I will keep highlighting, system is also having a feature where extended record management settings can be done, which means that after the retention is over, the bunch can be transferred to the national archive of the country. And we have done it for multiple countries, and we have made it configurable so that for a new country, the format can be tuned easily, and the entire piece, right from one ministry to another ministry to finally the national archive, can be managed within the single common platform. Now this comprehensive set of features which I just spoke is powered by Newgen One platform, which is the leading low-code automation platform from Newgen. It features in the Gartner Magic Quadrant as well as Forrester Wave reports, and all leading analysts have appreciated the platform in terms of its configurability, its modern digital transformation, how it can empower our customers to do to go on their digital transformation. It is a combination of 5 different products. One, BPM, which is business process management, which is where all workflows can be configured, which I spoke about. The second piece is decision engine, which is a comprehensive rules engine. Any complicated rule, for example, organizational hierarchy for taking approvals, is typically configured in the rules engine. Enterprise content management is anyway a backbone to the use case that I am referring to. All the record management functionality, all the capture, scanning, everything is powered by the enterprise content management backbone. Customer communication management is where the template configurability, generation of a document using templates, and publishing, those capabilities come from. AI is embedded in between all these use cases. I took an example of auto classification as one example, and there are several other examples also. All along, all the standard expectation from an enterprise application in terms of auditability, compliances, rights management, the non-functional aspects like continuous improvement, continuous development, DevOps, security, it is all built into the system. So how does it help? One important thing is that many of the components which are needed to build any such application, they can't be developed as part of a program or a project, because these are developed after years of investments into R&D. And two, it also makes the whole thing very agile. So we, from our experience, understand that no two organizations are the same, even though from outside they look quite similar in the way they work. But changing country means a lot, but if you change from one department to another department, the expectation differs. So can we do that last mile optimization, last mile customization for end users? This is where the agile platform helps a lot. And now with this information in context, let me also I'm very proud to share with you about a success story. This is a nationwide program so as we speak, 12 agencies are already using it, and 29 another ministries are part of phase 1, which are under rollout, along with the National Archive. So National Archive of the countries has already adopted the system. It has become their lifeline. They are using it for their day-to-day operations. So what innovatively they have done is that they have set up a cloud, and they have set up the correspondence and record management system as a platform in a multi-tenant way. What it means is that a new agency can be onboarded very easily and very quickly, and everything is now follow a very standard approach. So you onboard an agency, you have a standard training program, you handhold for some time, and then they can adopt the system and go along using it for their end users. Very, very marquee example, because more than 15,000 users are expected user of the system. When I was speaking about innovation, I was taking an example. They have also set up an inter-agency communication in an electronic mode. So earlier to the implementation of the system, everything was physical and through emails, which used to take a lot of time, and there was also always issues with respect to acknowledgement. I didn't receive it on time, and then the responses were not coming on time. They end up in losing a lot of time in the to and fro follow. Now everything is taken care by the system. And before even we started working with the agency, we had to go through a very rigorous selection process, and we did a compliance, which we did a certification actually, which is where we had to go through 300 unique compliances to comply with. And we did the certification. It took time, but we did the certification. We built additional functionality for the specific use case, and we also have done a lot of innovative work to localize the whole thing in Arabic. And it is not just the interface which translates or change into Arabic. We have a dual data entry option, which is where the entire classification structure can appear in English as well as can appear in Arabic. System knows about a number, and if a user searches a number which is in English or Arabic, irrespective of the number they feed in, system goes and kind of digs out the information, because there is an intelligence which is built in, which can recognize that number is a number, whether it is entered in Arabic or it is entered in English. And calendar is another example. There are several examples which were kind of our investment to the market, and we have included all those features in the application. And just to summarize, before we conclude and open it for question and answer, these are the differentiating features when it comes to correspondence management offering from us vis-a-vis our competition. As I said, it is built on Newgen One comprehensive platform. It offers in-place record management platform, in-place record management options, like a user can continue to use the workgroup applications, and still all the features are available within those applications. It's cloud native, and at the same time it supports multiple flexible deployment options. What it means is that it can sit on a government cloud, it can also sit on a government commercial cloud. In some countries they have carved out a piece of, let's say, Azure or AWS, have put additional measures on it and using it as a government cloud. And it can also sit in the data center of the agency. So if the system is to be used for a very confidential kind of use case, then the entire thing can go and reside in the data center, need not to go to the cloud also. It manages the entire life cycle of both electronic and hybrid. So hybrid means that it can also help you to manage your assets which are not electronic, which are physical in nature, like confidential papers which you don't want to digitize. They can still keep track of the information in a secured and encrypted way. The system is certified for international standards. So DoD is from United States, VER is from Australia, ISO is a global standard, and then NRA is from Oman. And the idea behind sharing this information is that after having done all these certifications, the system comes with rock solid security, rock solid compliances, and you don't need to build all this as part of your program. You save a lot of time and you are ready with all these compliances in time. I spoke about a deeper localized features in Arabic, interagency communication, AIML, highly secure, and also this entire system is integration ready, which means that anything and everything that a user can do as a functionality is also available as an API. An API can be a microservice API, it can be native APIs, it can be web service APIs. Multiple type of APIs are available, which the application vendor integrating with the system can select as per the suitability of the requirement and put together. And also to summarize that these are something where we differentiate from our competition. And before I give it back to Sumedh for summarizing and for open and to open it for question and answer, just a very quick introduction of the organization. Newgen is an organization set up in 1992. We have about 520 active customers. We have strong presence in government vertical. About 1/3 of our customers are in public sector vertical. We come from that kind of experience. We are rated very high. All our product lines are featuring in Forrester and Gartner reports. We are close to 4,000 in terms of headcount, but even our government practice is very strong. And we work with all the leading GSIs like Infosys, Wipro, and our partners like EY. As I spoke about innovative features, I should emphasize on the fact that we invest a lot in research and development. We have about 44 patents to our name, and 23 are still in pipeline for approval. I think with this, I will take a pause and over to you, Sumit.
Thank you so much, Arpan, for your valuable inputs. I hope everyone did make best use of what you have shared. In the interest of time, we have one question that we have received, and I'd like to share that with you all. What are the challenges while executing the projects in government for the mentioned products and solutions? And how has Newgen overcome these challenges? Please feel free to take that question up.
Is the question
Mohammed, would you be
directly? Yeah, is the question is directed to Newgen? Let me take. Let me answer it first, and then I'll lean on to Mohammed for his insights also. So one thing is that it is not easy. So let's not say that there is a magic wand which we can use and it will be done within weeks or within days. An organization has to go through change, and the change should be driven from top down. So any digital transformation, in my opinion, has two dimensions to it. One, a governance side, and two, digital capabilities. As part of my conversation today, I highlighted more in terms of digital capabilities, and that is where we come into the play. So our platform, ready to use application feature set, high configurability, very well defined training modules. We spoke about things like ability to be able to use from within the applications, existing applications. What it does is that it reduces the learning curve of a end user and help adoption of the system fast. But the second dimension, which is about governance, which is about leadership, which is about change management, which is about program management, which is about creating champions within the organization, top-down approach, having a conviction mandate, is something which is of equal importance, maybe of a little bit more than technology. So that is how I would like to put it, and maybe we can go to Mohammed for his insights.
Thanks, Arpan. Yeah, I think you pretty much covered all of them. I'll just kind of maybe summarize. Obviously, the buy-in from leadership top down, which you mentioned already, is extremely important. If that isn't there, then we see less interest in the organization to take this forward. The second one, which is user resistance, and you were talking about how change management needs to be implied over there to be making this change happen, because a lot of cases people resist things without actually knowing the benefits of it. So making that benefits available, understood well, but also how to support the employees in the journey towards using these different technologies and solutions. The people capability obviously needs to be uplifted. Sometimes there are challenges around the budgets. Unrealistic budgets are set for these transformations, so you end up with partial successes, and then overall the transformation is seen as a failure. Governance, you've already touched on, is extremely important. We see a lot of gaps when it comes to driving these kind of initiatives and programs from a governance perspective, being very clear who's responsible for what are the KPIs, how do we know actually that we have achieved what we needed to achieve. So benefit realization, for example, tends to be quite weak as well. So not knowing what true benefits we are trying to achieve from the investment, being clear from the beginning and knowing how you can track them. Unrealistic timeframes, that is always a challenge when you are under pressure to deliver certain things. And lack of clarity on the scope. Sometimes the scope is not well defined, it's not clear, so it becomes quite ambiguous. So when you then start the projects, you get into challenges with the partners who are helping you with this. So these would be the 5-6 things I would kind of summarize as
Right.
main challenges?
Sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. So with this, we come to the end of our webinar today. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for the enlightening session. And thank you to all our attendees for joining us this afternoon. We will provide a copy of the recording to all our attendees on the registered email IDs. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Have a great day.
Have a great day. Thank you.